Before we talk about this book, you may be thinking why, because the name Harry Moody or David Carroll indicates that they are not Muslims, they are not Ismailis, they are Westerners. And what's the point of discussing a book written by Westerners, Christians, in Ismaili Jamaat Khana? Is there any shortage of the books of our dais or our peers or our institutions? Why we are introducing such books in our Jamaat Khanas? And that's a valid question. Maulana Hazir Imam Shah Karim al-Husaini Salawatullah alayhi has said in his Farman, there is no monopoly on wisdom. There is no monopoly on wisdom. The Prophet Muhammad had said that utlubul ilm walau kana bis-Sin. Seek knowledge even if it is in China. At that time China was very far from them. So the Prophet said utlubul ilm, seek knowledge walau kana bis-Sin, even if it is in China. Even China at that time was not Muslim. Even today it is not Muslim. But the message was, seek knowledge wherever you find it. Prophet also said that knowledge is the lost treasure of believers. So seek it from wherever you find it. Maulana Hazir Imam is also working for the humanity, for the Ummah, for Ismaili Jamaat. And Maulana Hazir Imam is seeking help from wherever it is possible. Muslims are working with Maulana Hazir Imam, Christians are working with him, Hindus are working with him, Buddhists are working with him. So there is no barrier of faith or religion when we talk of contribution of intellects for the development of humanity. Look at the IIS, for example, the Institute of Ismaili Studies. The institution is the Institute of Ismaili Studies. You will find many non-Ismaili scholars there. They are working in that institution. Many books published by the IIS written by non-Ismailis, even by non-Muslims. But they contribute towards understanding Islam or our tariqah or faith or religion or tradition or civilization at large. So there is no bar in seeking knowledge from wherever it is available. But why this book? Why this book? Because those who have written this book, the message that they want to give in this book is almost the same which we are hearing every day from the Holy Quran, from the teachings of our Dai, from the Farmans of Maulana Hazir Imam, and from the Ginans. So this helps us to understand that the reality is one. The reality is one. Our tariqah, our understanding, our faith is based on solid grounds. And when we see that people of international level, scholars of international level, when they write independently, even they also talk on the same things which our tariqah, which our faith teaches us. So as we will go, we'll come to know what really messages have been given into this book. So 5 stages of the soul, what these writers wanted to say, they have been researching for a long time, and their search was that there have been mapping of man's physical development, infancy, childhood, adolescence, young age, middle age, old age, and each age has its own requirements and its own problem and its own solution. Similarly, there are mapping of man's emotional or psychological development. Each age has its own emotional or psychological problems and solution. But they feel that there is no spiritual mapping of the journey or the growth of a man's soul. And they have studied Islam, Christianity, Jainism, Buddhism, many other religions. And after studying that, they are trying to show a sort of mapping of the growth or the journey of human soul. In various societies, in many societies, human age has been divided into different ages, different levels, and according to that level, there are some ceremonies which are being performed. In Indian society, in Hindu society, the age of a human being is divided into 4 areas or 4 categories, 4 levels. One is childhood, and during that time, the child is seeking knowledge, learning things under the supervision of a master, of a teacher. Then comes the young age, when the person gets married, he creates his family, and he seeks to support his family members. Then comes the middle age, when the children are grown up, they have their own families. So they hand over their work, their business, family to the children, and then they go in seeking knowledge in other parts of the area. Then comes the old age, when they come back after seeking knowledge and share that knowledge for the benefit of the society. So this is how the human age has been divided in some of the societies. Now, when we start the journey of a human soul, we have to start from somewhere, from where to take the first step, how to generalize a particular level of the soul of human being, from where we can say that now, from this point, the journey of human soul starts. And the writers base their first step or the general condition of human being on the same premise which has been repeatedly said in the Quran, in the Ginan, in the Farmas. And that is that generally people are in a state of oblivion, in a state of sleep, in a state of negligence, in a state of ignorance. दुनिया चलित्र देख के बंदे मत तू जाए रे भुलाए सपना तरनु पेखणु बंदा तैसो आरे संसार. As Peter says, that don't forget by looking at the treacheries of the world. This is like a state of dream. Sapna tarnu pekhnu, as if you are in a dream. So is this world. So don't get misled by looking at this dream. So this is how they start, that in a generalized situation, we all are in a state of sleep. Mawla Murtaza Ali Salawatullah alayhi has said that Annasu niyamun fa'idha matu intabahu. People are asleep. When they will die, they will wake up. We are at the moment, they said, we are all asleep. Allah talked to Prophet Muhammad and said, وَتَحْسَبُهُمْ أَيْقَاظًا وَهُمْ رُقُودٌ. You think that they are awake, but in fact they are asleep. تَرَاهُمْ يَنْظُرُونَ إِلَيْكَ وَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. You see that they are looking at you, but they don't see. Tarahum, 3 different words have been used just for seeing. Tarahum, you see them. Yanzuruna ilayka, they look at you. They see you. Wahum la yubsirun, but they don't see. But 3 different words. You see them, they look at you, but they really don't see. Even if they are looking at you, they don't see. So Allah says, you see them as if they are awake, but they are not, they are asleep. There is a beautiful story of Bhagwan and Narad, one of the beautiful character in the Indian mythology or religious teaching. Once Bhagwan and Narad they both were walking, and Narad asked a question to Bhagwan. He said, Bhagwan, what is the meaning of life? What is life? Bhagwan smiled. He asked a couple of times, and Bhagwan just smiled and said, look, Narad, it's very hot here, and I am thirsty. So go to the village and ask for some water. I am waiting for you. You bring water, I will drink the water, and then I will talk to you. Narad left Bhagwan and went to the village. He knocked the door. A beautiful woman opened the door. And Narad became hypnotized looking at the woman. He said, oh, I feel you are a tired traveler. Please come in and let us serve you. Narad really wanted to hear that. So they ushered him into the house. Family member gathered. Oh, tame bau musafir lago cho. You look like a good traveler, tired. Rest here for some time. Let us give us an opportunity to serve you. And they started to serve him. And they again offered. It looked that you are tired. You are coming from a far area. Why don't you stay at our place for a few days? Narad liked it. He stayed there for a few days, became like a family member, and after a few days the family talked to Narad that we have been waiting for a good, suitable match for our daughter. Narad wanted to hear that. He said, Aapne meri muh ki baat chhin liya. I just wanted to say that. So he got married, he had children, big family. And as in the Ginan, Shet kahe tame sambro vanotaro varna jurodo kari lao, daya tha jo tamne shido shikhamar lab ghanero kari lavo. The Shet, the owner, the boss is Allah. Vanotar is the agent, we are the Vanotar. And in this 3-act drama in this Ginan, Shet, the boss, tells the agent that Tame sambro vanotar vana jurudo kari lao. Go and do some good business. Daya thajo, be careful. Tamne shidam shikhamar, you don't need too much of teaching. Labh ghanero kari lao. Come back with much benefit. Pir puchi tame panth kamao, Nabi Muhammad ne shikhamar haidya rakho. Seek the guidance of your peer and keep the teaching of Prophet Muhammad in your heart. Then he sent him the second stage. Ghor aghor ma tu bahudin hota tune ghadiye ghadiye vighne ugariye. That is the time when the child was in the womb of mother. You are in the darkness and I saved you from various types of difficulties in the womb of mother. Naure maas tune pet mahe rakhiya, Nabi Muhammad band chhodaya. For 9 months you remained in the womb of mother, and Nabi Muhammad, he saved you from there and you came to this world. Then the second stage started. He gave word to the Lord, just I'm coming back, don't worry. I will do a good business and just a moment, I'm just coming back. As soon as he stepped in this world and he saw this beautiful, glittering world, the glamour of this world, he forgot everything. He forgot everything. You know, a type of ibadah that we do, it is also named zikr. Zikr bandgi, zikr ni tasbih. Baitul Khyal's ibadat is known as zikr. And what is zikr in Arabic? Remembrance and reminder. You cannot remember something which you do not know. Can you remember a place where you never have been? No. We can only remember what we have already experienced. So Allah tells the Prophet, فَذَكِّرْ, remind them, إِنَّمَا أَنْتَ مُذَكِّرْ, you are a reminder. Zikr is a reminder. So he forgot everything. And our Pir, Imam, Quran just reminds us of our origin. કોલ દેને જીવડો બાર નિસર્યો, માયા દેખીને જીવડો ભૂલો. મોટેરા હાટ, તારા બહુરે વાણોતર, તું આપે આપે શેઠ થઈને બેઠો. You started your own business, big business, too many customers, lot of turnover. So you forget that you are just an agent, a representative. Tu ape ape shet thene beto. You proclaimed yourself as the boss. I am the boss. You forget that somebody has sent you. Kheer khan grat amrit bhojan upar piyo cho sheetal pani. Now you are having a luxurious life. Very good food, luxurious living. And what type of business you are doing? ખોટા તારા ત્રાજવા ને દાંડી માહે કાનેતર કાટલા ખોટા તારા ભારી ઓછું દીધું ને અતકેરું લીધું પણ જીવની ચિંતા ન કીધી. While you are doing business, your weighing scale is defective. When you give less. When you take more, which means you are doing business unethically. It's unethical practice. When you become ape ape shet, khota tara trajwa, dandi, these are the two parts. Khota tara trajwa, dandi mai kanetar, katla khota tara bhari. Ochu didu ne atkeru lidu, you gave less and took more. Pan jivni chinta na kidi, you never worried about your soul. These two parts really change the life of Waris Ismail Bhai Gangji, who was sitting in Jamaat Khana one evening and he heard the whole Ginan. And these two parts, he thought that as if Pir has come and sung these two parts in his ears, giving him the message. And after the Ginan was finished, he just took a U-turn in his life. He changed everything. And then look where he reached when Mawla said that when Wazir Ismail Bhai Gangji left this world, he took 10,000 saved souls with him and he guided about 60,000 souls. And Mawla said in another farman, when on the day of Alast, when Allah took the oath of allegiance from the soul, the soul which was number 2 in giving the allegiance, oath of allegiance was Salman Faris, and the third soul was Waris Ismail Bhai Gangji. Mawla did not give the name of the first soul. He gave the second and third soul. So, Kheer Khan Grat, this is how you do your business and your life. Kheer Khan Grat Amrit Bhojan Upar Piyo Cho Sheetal Pani. You are having a luxurious life. But what happened one day? When you are in the height of your climax of your luxurious life and you feel that, oh, I am a successful man in this world, I am a self-made man in this world and I have everything and I have earned all these things. There was a knock on the door one morning. Eji shethna teda tune tedwane avya. Chalo vanotar vege. The Sheth had sent a message, hurry up. What do you mean, hurry up? Chalo vanotar vege, how beautifully said that he does not give any time. Quick. He said, by Shetna Teda Tune Tedwane. The boss is calling you. Who is the boss? I am the boss. There is no boss. So forget everything now. The boss is calling you and there is no time. I don't give any warning to anyone and no postponement of my assignment. It is just being done. Chalo vano tarvege. Eji tada kuchiyu tari tari rahiyu re wakhare. Tu kem chaliyo thale hathe. Your business, your doors, your locks and your keys all remain like that. Even if you make a big palace, tu kem chaliyo thale hathe. You are going alone, empty-handed. We came empty-handed, we go empty-handed. He left this world. And then the third sin starts. એ જે શેઠને વાણોતર બેઉ નામું કરવા બેઠા. You know, નામું is account book. In the third sin, it shows the agent is back to the boss and the account book is now open. શેઠને વાણોતર બેઉ નામું કરવા બેઠા. The boss and the agent sat with the account. ત્યારે જીવરો ઘણું ધ્રુજે. He was shivering with fear. The agent was shivering with fear. એજી પાને પાને જીવના પાપ લખાણા માહે ધર્મનો અખર ન સૂજે. In every page there is just debit, 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 debit. Spending, spending, spending. Nothing is earned. પાને પાને જીવના પાપ લખાણા. On every page there is just sin. માહે ધર્મનો અખર ન સૂજે. Not a small letter of faith. Not a small letter of faith. Then the soul says, ભણે પીર સદરદીન સામે અમે તમારું સર્વે કુછ ખાધું મૈયા કરો તો જીવડો છૂટે. Peer says, Ya Mawla, we have eaten everything of you, now we seek mercy of you. So this is how the whole story of life is. And Narad was there and he became ape shit. Oh, big business, big family, everybody is so happy. Lord is waiting for the glass of water. Still waiting, waiting. For him, there is no time. Narad has gone into the time, into the realm of time, while Bhagavan is in the timelessness. So there, everything is just present there. There is no past, present, or future, just present. Then all of a sudden, there was a big deluge, there was a big cyclone, and flood water. Everything just washed away in one night. Narad wanted to save his wife, so his children died. He went to save the children, so his wife died. His shops, his business, family, house, everything was taken away by the flood water. And he was also unconscious, lying beside the ocean. And when he got consciousness, he was pleading to God, what happened to me, oh God? What wrong I did that I have received this punishment today? And then he heard a voice from Narad, I am waiting for the water. Narad, I am waiting for the water. So he touched the feet of Bhagavan. Please forgive me. I asked a wrong question. You asked me a question, Narad. You wanted to know what is the meaning of life. No, I don't want any more questions. I don't have anything to ask. I have got the lesson by asking just one question. What is the meaning of life? And you send me to the life. And I was there for that many decades. So that state of oblivion, at the moment we feel that, oh, we are all big businessmen, we are successful people in this world. But in comparison to the next world, as we last night compared the body and soul, in comparison to the next world, we are in a state of sleep. We are in a state of ignorance, oblivion. And from this deep sleep, Allah calls the soul back. Allah calls the soul to return. And from this call, the journey of the soul starts. From this call, the journey of the soul starts. And then there are 5 stages, they say, that first is the call, how Allah calls us and how we respond to it. And after we respond, then there is a second stage, that is the search. Search for a true path. Then the third stage, when we find the path, there is a struggle to trade on this path. And as we struggle on that path, there is the fourth stage, that is the breakthrough, the reward of the struggle, that is the door of enlightenment is opened. And then comes the fifth stage, when people come back with their enlightenment. When people come back to the society enlightened, and how they share their enlightenment for the benefit of humanity. So these are the 5 stages of the soul, and the first is the call. When we are in this world, busy in our worldly thing, every moment there is a call from the Lord that don't forget the assignment that has been given to you. Don't forget the work that has been given to you. And that is the upliftment of your soul, development of your spiritual life. And the message of this call is, try to understand the meaning of life. Come back from the periphery, leave the periphery, and come to the core. Come to the center. Come from Zahir to Batin. Come from body to soul. Come from form to spirit. Come from senses to knowledge or meaning or understanding. Come back from the limitness of time to the infinity, to the timelessness, to the eternity. Now this call is continuously coming in our life, right from our childhood. Allah sends us this message. But there is a time in our life when this call becomes too loud to ignore, too loud to avoid. And one age or one phase in our life is very important that we should not forget. And that is our middle age, and to be specific, our 40th year of our life, or between 35 and 45. This time, this part of our age, when the call from Allah becomes too loud and we receive a number of messages and calls which we may not be able to really understand or hear. If we just, those who are, or they already past their middle age, those who are above 40 or 45 or 50 or a bit higher age, look back to your life. Look back. And if you look back carefully, we will feel that around the age of 40, there was some message in our life which has really changed the direction of our life. Physically, there is a change in human being when they are in the middle age. That is the message. When we are in the middle age, around the 40, there is a message that the duty, responsibility of your body is now almost finished. Now, turn back to your spirituality. So there is a message of having a U-turn. This 40, the 40th year, it is not just for the sake of saying that life begins at 40. It really means something. Allah has said in the Quran also that 40th year is very important. The Quran says, وَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِالْوَالِدَيْهِ إِحْسَانًا. I have asked the man, human being, to behave properly with their parents, take good care of their parents. حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ كُرْهًا وَوَضَعَتْهُ كُرًّا. His mother or her mother carried the child with pain and gave the birth of the child with pain. وَحَمَلُهُ وَفِصَالُهُ ثَلَاثُونَ شَهْرًا. The pregnancy and the feeding of the child is for 30 months, Allah says. Then it says, حَتَّى إِذَا بَلَغَ أَشُدَّهُ, till he became mature. وَبَلَغَ أَرْبَعِينَ سَنَةً, and he became 40 years of age. قال ربي أوزئني أن أشكر نعمتك التي أنعمت علي وعلى والدي. He said that, oh my God, oh my Lord, Give me the tawfiq, give me the understanding that I thank for the mercy that you have on me and on my parents, and guide me so that I can do a good work which will really please you, and give good guidance to me and to my children. Why at the age of 40? Allah says when he becomes mature and when he reaches the age of 40, he started to take a turn in his life. It is not just a random thing that the Prophet Muhammad got his prophethood at the age of 40. Allah said in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. In the life of the Prophet, there is good example from you. So Prophet got his prophethood at the age of 40. Pir Nasr Khusro, as you know, he was not smiley in the beginning. He was searching for the light. And before getting the guidance to go to the west in search of the Imam of the time, he talks about himself that, O ignorant person who has been sleeping for the last 40 years, now get up and look around. All your friends have now gone away. So he said that I have been sleeping for 40 years and now I have got this guidance to go in search of the Imam. So the age of 40, which is there is a lot of change in our body also, which is also known as middle age wake up call. So around our age of 40, or we can expand it between 35 and 45, there is a great change in our life, and those change is really a message from God, but very few of us really can read that message and understand. Carl Jung, the great psychologist, says that between the age of 35 and 45, there is a great change in the body of a person. And he says, whoever carries into the afternoon of life the law of the morning is our young age, afternoon is our middle age. And he says, whoever carries into the afternoon of life the law of the morning, that means in the middle age you are still living like a young person in your behavior, not in your attitude approach, in your behavior, taking the life not very seriously. If anybody, whoever carries into the afternoon of life, the law of the morning must pay for so doing with damage to his soul. That means the law of morning is not applicable when we are in the afternoon or when we are in the evening. Now, how to understand these calls? I mean, how to read that there is a call? What types of call? I mean, how these calls are being sent to us? It's like the dining table of God, which is full of so many things. Every types of foods are there. So in every activity in our life, there is a call, there is a message from the divine, from Allah. And this call can come in our dream. These calls may come in our dreams. This call comes from while we are reading a book, or we are listening to a lecture, or we are listening to a sermon. Sometimes this call comes from within us. There is a feeling of void, there is a feeling of emptiness, there is a feeling of dissatisfaction, a depression. All depression are just not physical thing. It is a cry of the soul. Similarly, one accident in our life, heart attack, sickness, loss in the business, divorce, unemployment, these are all shocks from the divine. Look how beautifully Quran explains this. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَالنَّقْصِ مِنَ الْأَمْوَالِ. And I just remind you, all this ayat has been quoted in this book. All this Quranic ayat has been quoted. And in almost all of the chapters of this book has been started with ayats from the Holy Quran or sayings from the Gita or from other scriptures. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ وَالْجُوعِ وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ وَالْأَنفُسِ وَالثَّمَرَاتِ. I am going to try you. Definitely I am going to put you into trial. Allah says, even if you don't want it, He says emphatically, I will put you into trial. بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ, I will try you by fear, وَالْجُوعِ, by hunger, وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ, and by loss in your mal, in your wealth, وَالْأَنفُسِ, loss in your life, وَالثَّمَرَاتِ, loss in your fruit, in your benefit, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, and give glad tidings to those who practice patience. الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ, those who, when calamities strike them, قَالُوا, they say, إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. We are from God, and to God we are returning. Now look how the message of returning is connected, related to the trials and tribulations. We feel that afflictions, trials and tribulations and calamities are divine anger or divine wrath or divine curse on humanity. But on the contrary, Allah says, these are my calls. This is how I talk to humanity. This is how I remind humanity not to forget. And those who practice sabr, Allah says, as soon as they get the message, as soon as they got the jolt, they got the shock, their response is that, yes, we understood. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi rajiun. We are from God, and to God we are returning. Which means that the sickness, calamities, loss, and other bad things that are happening in our life are in fact our friends. All adversaries are our friends. But we treat them as our enemies. We don't want any loss. We don't want any sickness. We don't want any heart attack. No bad things in our life. So, how do you think Allah would remind us of our origin and call us to return to our origin? This is how Allah talks. And the deeper, if somebody is asleep and you want to wake him up, you have to do something. You knock at the door. If he doesn't reply, you go and touch him. If he doesn't reply, you have to shake him. Even if he doesn't get up, you have to use some water on his face. So this is how Allah talks. If we are asleep, and the level of sleep will define the level of pressure. If we are in deep sleep, Allah will have to use a little bit of touch on our life. And that touch really jolts everything in our life. And then we complain. But what can we do? Allah says, what can I do? I have to wake you up. Because you are going to hell if I don't remind you. But sometimes we fail to understand the message. So all calamities, all bad things in our life, all bad news in our life, it is the message from divine. This is the call. And in our life also, there are various stages in our own practice of faith, like we take chata in Jamaat Khana, like we take chata from Maulana Hazar Imam, like we take the Baitul Khayal bowl from Maulana Hazar Imam. These are the levels in our life which really gives us reminds us of our origin. And these are also parts of the call or the farmans of Imam-e-Zaman. There are various ways in our life through which that call is given to us. But the problem is that many of us fail to listen to the call. Why? Allah has remembered us in the Holy Quran with three beautiful names. Three beautiful names. Allah says these people are Summun, Bukmun, Umyun, Fahum La Yashrun. Repeatedly said in the Quran, Summun, Bukmun, Umyun, Fahum La Yashrun. They are deaf, they are dumb, they are blind, they don't have senses. They are deaf, They are dumb, they are blind, they don't understand. A person was playing with the flute on the side of the road, beautiful flute, and those who were passing around, they just got hypnotized and started to dance with the tune of the flute. One deaf person passed by, looked at them, and remarked, "Look at these crazy people, look at these mad people. Somebody is playing with a stick, and all these mad people are dancing." So neither the person was mad nor those who were dancing were mad. You could not hear what is going on there. So Allah says, "Khatam Allahu ala qulubihim, innal ladhina kafaru sawa'un alayhim." For the disbeliever, for the unbelievers, for the infidels, it is the same. Anzartahum am lam tunzirum. Whether you warn them or you don't warn them, hum la yu'minun, they are not going to believe. It is same for them. It is equal whether you tell them something, you don't tell them. You warn them, you don't warn them. It's equal for them. Why? Allah says, and God forbid this ever happen to us, Khatam Allahu ala qulubihim wa ala sam'ihim. Allah has sealed their heart and their ears. Wa ala absarihim ghishawa. And there are curtains in front of their eyes. Fahum la yashurun. They don't understand. Allah has sealed all their inner faculties, so they are like animals. Allah says, Ulaika kal an'am, they're just like animals. So we are hypnotized in this world. That's why we fail to understand the message. Allah repeatedly sends us those messages, and this message, this call come to us in various ways. As I said yesterday, at least every day when we go to sleep, we die. We die every day. And still we are waiting for some strong warning that one day we will die. Each and every moment in this life, Allah says, فَأَتَبِرُوا يَا أُولُو الْأَبْصَارِ. O people of the eye, O people with the eyes, look around and take lessons. But we neither will look around nor we take any lesson. So this Allah's message is there each and every moment, but we have to understand it. Why it is that some people easily understand the message and there are some who don't understand at all. It depends on the influence that we had on our life while growing. It's very important. And this is written by someone who himself is not grown up in the Islamic or Ismaili environment. But what he says reflects the feeling, farman, guidance and concern of Maulana Hazrima. He says that why some people fail to get the message, why some people easily understand the message. If our sleep is very light, even just a knock on the door is enough for us. Yes, I am awake, I am just coming. But if we are in deep sleep, some strong jolts are required in our life. And we know many people in the world, just after having some jolts in the life, they change their life. There are two types of influence on our life. He says type A and type B. One is worldly or material influence on our life, and the other is the spiritual influence on our life. It is how we really grow up in our society. Those who grow up in the environment of just business, making money, important family, food, politics, money, health, education, entertainment, power, ruling over people, politics. It's a worldly environment. This type of people don't really get any message. You look at the politician, Today, they are in the office. Tomorrow, they are in the jail. Day after tomorrow, they are banished. Still, they are seeking the same position. They want to become prime minister again. They want to become presidents. One day, they are king. One day, they are beggars. They don't learn any lesson. They don't learn any lesson because their upbringing was with power, politics. So they say, these are the people, ધોરીને કાંદે ધોસરું જાણે જાઉં તે કોઈક ગામ તેના પાટા તૂટા દ્રષ્ટના જ્યાં જુએ ત્યાં ઠામ હોય ઠામ. It is like an animal which we use to exert oil from the ghani, and while you do that, you blindfold the animal, and that animal feels that, oh, I am going on a long journey. I am traveling. जाने जाऊं ते कोई गाम. I am going to another city, another country, another village. Tena pata chuta drashtana, when you remove from his eyes the pata that you put there, I am still there. So those who run after the world and they feel that I am achieving everything in this world, but at the end they feel that we are nowhere. Mola said, without the faith, a man's life in this world not worth dust on the road. And without faith, he will reach nowhere. And even if he reaches somewhere, he will be eventually disappointed, because without faith, there is no meaning to your life. And the other influence is the influence of those who get religious education from their childhood, those who are interested in religion, art, philosophy, literature, poetry, the teachings, the values that they get from the teachers, from the families, from their parents, which means that the spark of divine light which is in our soul is always remain lit, always remain burning. It's not allowed to extinguish. That's why Hazrat Imam is telling us today, religious education is very important for our children. Hazrat Imam is seeking today 100% accessibility of religious education for our children. But there are people who feel, oh, my education of my children, of course it is very, very important. Swimming, it's very important. My children has to go to there and they have to learn this and that. And night school or dharmic school or Baitul Ilm or religious education, oh, we don't have time for our children for that immaterial things and that unimportant things. I'm telling you, we feel really bad when we heard such comments from the parents. અમે અમારા બચ્ચાઓને બગાડવા નથી માંગતા ધાર્મિક સ્કૂલમાં મોકલીને. We don't want to send our children to the bad company in the Baitul Ilm there. We don't want to spoil our children. And then we saw those parents, after years, when their children grow up, they come to Missionary Sahib, can you please do something for my child, for my son, for my daughter? They don't come to Jamaat Khana. They don't pray. They don't say their prayer. They are not behaving properly. They have no interest in religion. Religious education is not something that we can postpone for the later age. It is transmitted while we are still children. Don't think that religious education is an unimportant thing or it comes in the bottom of our priorities. It comes in the top of our priorities. And look how much time Maulana Hazrat Imam is spending us today, and how much concern Maulana Hazrat Imam has today for this religious education. It is not just religious education, it is the nourishment of the soul that we cannot postpone. It is the food of the soul. While we are taking care of the body of the child, of the intellect of the child, we cannot forget the development of the soul of the child. We cannot develop a good child with healthy intellect but with a very weak soul. Very weak soul. When they grow up, they are rich, successful in the life, but with no foundation, lost in the life. They have no sense of direction. They have no values in the life. So faith, religious education, right from the childhood. Don't keep your children, we should not keep our children away from the Baitul Ilm or from Jamaat Khana for such a long time that they become strangers to Jamaat Khana. Or Jamaat Khana becomes a strange place for them when they come to Jamaat Khana one day. Jamaat Khana should become a part of their daily life. We just cannot blindly follow what the society is doing. Mullah says it is their problem, how they are living their life. We must live our life according to the guidance of Imam of the time. And Imam says a balanced life. Not only a balanced life, but he says your worldly life should be encased in and governed by your spiritual life and your ethical principles and the interpretation of our faith. So our physical, worldly life must be governed by our spiritual life. So if we are not giving any importance to spiritual life, we are not giving any message of spirituality to our children, how can we expect that one day our spiritual values, our interpretation of faith will really guide to our children when they don't have any understanding of our tariqah? So make sure that our children get the second influence and not the first influence. That is the spiritual influence, so that even if there is a slight knock on our door, we know how to respond. We know how to respond. We don't get destabilized. We remain stable and we can really maneuver the problems of our life rather than being overtaken by the problems of our life. So this is how the message comes into our life and how people responded and replied to the life. Allah says in the Quran, again this chapter starts with the Quran, Ya ayyuhallazina amanu stajibu lillahi wa lirasuli iza da'akum lima yuhyikum. O believers, when Allah and the Prophet calls you, reply them, so that they give you a life. Now, the call is not given to the dead. It is given to the believers. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu, O believers, when Allah and the Prophet call you, reply them, so that they give you life. Which means that it is not the physical life, it is the spiritual life. So whenever they call you, reply them, and the da'i or the caller is the name of Allah, is the name of the Prophet, and is the name of the Imam also. Leo Tolstoy, very famous author, writer of Russia, he had a very successful life, but in the middle age, he lost direction. He said that near the age of 50, he wrote his book, A Confession, in which he writes, I did not know how to live. Leo Tolstoy said in the middle age, he said, I did not know how to live. Though he was living a very successful life, he said, I felt that something has broken within me on which my life had always rested. And at that time, if you are not well grounded on faith, you have no anchor for your life. He's such a big author, such a successful person. He says, I did not know. I thought that something has broken within me on which my life had always rested, that I had nothing left to hold on to, and that morally my life had stopped. Morally my life had stopped. He also attempted to suicide. He tried to kill himself. Then he said, no, that's not the solution. He said, God tries to give me a message. Then he changed his life. He left all his luxurious and ostentatious life, started to live a simple life, and said, now that I have received a meaning in my life. Now we start with this second chapter, that is, once the call is there, and we heard the call, and we responded to the call, then after the call, a search starts. Now, this chapter is not very relevant to us because it is for those who do not have a path and they are looking for a path, while we already have a path. So we are not searching for a path, but we should be careful that we are not misled from this path. There are people who are always in search. So for this search, we don't have to leave this world. We don't have to really sacrifice the good living of the life. We don't have to become a sadhu or a saint or a yogi or a devdas or a devdasi, or we just always remain in a somber mood. We should just abandon smiling or talking with the people. Only then we feel that yes, he looks to be a very elevated soul, because he doesn't talk to anybody, and he is always in a sad mood and always with a very simple clothes. It doesn't mean anything. Well, it is individual's own choice, but these are really not necessary, that we really have to live a decent, good living life. Mola says, Ame pan darvesh chhe. Mola said in his Farman, I am a darvesh, but I have all these things in this world. Dunya mein hu, dunya ka talabgar nahi. I am in the world, but I am not a seeker of the world. दुनिया में हूँ, दुनिया का तलबगार नहीं, बाजार से गुजरा हूँ, खरीदार नहीं. I am just passing through the market. I am not here to purchase anything. I am just passing through. So we don't really have to live the good things in our life. We have to seek and see the natural religion in all things. So we have already got the path, which is the path of Baitul Khayal, the way of Baitul Khayal, which is Imam Zaman has given to us. And Imam said that it is an individual and personal search of everyone. So the path Baitul Khayal is an individual and personal search. And he says that there is nothing like a spiritual supermarket or a spiritual candy shop. Sometimes people feel that to be a spiritual, you have to take a little bit of all the religion and all the faith, like we go to a supermarket with a trolley, something from here, something here, something from here, something, and then we fill the trolley, and we did the shopping going home. He said, you cannot do such shopping when you are talking of religion or faith. There is nothing like spiritual candy shop or a spiritual supermarket. You have to take a path. You have to stay on a path, and you have to commit for a path. He gives an example of a garden. There's a big garden which has, say, about 20 doors to enter into the garden. You don't have to go through all 12 doors to go into the garden. You just have to enter into the garden. You have to select one door and enter into the garden. If you want to cross a river and there may be 20 boats waiting there, you don't have to sit in all 20 boats just to cross the river. Seek your own boat, take a boat and just cross. Crossing is important, not the number of boats available there. So we have already chosen our path. You don't have to go and seek. There are various paths. It's like you're climbing a mountain. You can climb to the mountain from all around. Seek your way to climb it. Start climbing it. So once we got the place, once we got the path, the road, we start climbing it. So as far as the searching is concerned, the search is already with us, and we have received that spiritual path, and we are trading on this path. Now we go to the